subscribe to James the Sheriff Dixon, you motherfucker.
All right, 3, 2, 1. This is Fun Times with the Sheriff, Season 6, Episode 2. This is the first ever video podcast episode. I got my cousin Jared on for the first time ever.
What up, guys? How's it going?
We're going to talk some Avatar.
Nice. Yeah.
Because Avatar, by the time this comes out, Avatar will get aired by in 2 weeks it premieres. So.
Sure. Yep, looking forward to that, but, you know, apprehensive about some of the potential changes that they might be making, but, you know, overall, I like anything Avatar, so I'm excited to see it come out.
So what do you want to talk about first, some of the new changes that they've been talking about, or like what you've been watching the show recently?
Oh, yeah, just rewatching stuff before the new stuff comes out, but... You know, we can talk about like the potential changes that they've been announced. Like I've watched the trailer a couple times now. You know, their casting, it looks way better than
the acting too.
And the acting too. I will say Sokka seems a little like cardboard, but I mean it's just like a trailer.
For only a couple of seconds of Sokka, really.
Yeah, it's really difficult to make judgments about you know a
couple of lines.
Exactly. Yeah, but they've
definitely
talked
better
about,
than the one movie we do not talk about.
right. That does not exist.
Yes.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what they choose to keep, what they choose to change. You know, live action's a different beast than animation.
Especially Netflix, like we were talking about earlier, is like going to be like 40 minutes instead of 20 minutes, and
right,
like
but
9 episodes instead of 22.
Yeah, so it works out to be roughly the same amount of time of the content, but they're going to choose to focus on different things. So we're going to see, actually, the Firebender attack on the Air Nation. That'll be cool, But you're going to make some other, cuts that might really change characterization. And that's
like
what
the
I'm
adventure stuff,
about.
but we were also talking about earlier where Aang goes on a little side quest to build up his Avatar state character.
Well, not so much the Avatar state character, but just as like general character development. The whole reason Aang winds up in the iceberg in the first place is because he's running away from his destiny as the Avatar. He's taking that key step on the hero's journey where they reject the call to action, and he flees into the storm and disappears. And so he's just waking up. It's been 100 years for the world, but for Aang, it's been a night.
A night like you went to bed and woke up.
He went to bed and woke up. And so he's still handling and processing this trauma.
Being told that he's the Avatar.
Being told that he's the Avatar, fleeing, finding out that he's been gone for 100 years, that his people have been exterminated. He's dealing with that, and he is running away from it. And that's a pretty natural way for a 12-year-old to handle, really heavy traumatic things like genocide,
which is a scene that's in the first 2 episodes. Like you said, they're probably going to combine some of the Netflix one.
Yeah, and I think that part of the way they said that they are gonna change Aang's characterization is to make him more motivated at the beginning, and I think that one
just
of the
like
ways,
Zuko we were talking about too. Like pretty much everyone they're trying to make from the get go
more.
Yeah.
Which I disagree with from a creative perspective, because one of the great things about Avatar is that every character goes through a lot of
from the first episode to the last.
Character development to the point where you can have a legitimate conversation about who qualifies as the main character in the show amongst all pretty much Zuko, Aang, Katara, or Sokka.
Like some people, we were talking about too, like Zuko might be more of a main than Aang.
That's definitely an argument that one can make. I think it's just a cast of mains is really what it boils down to.
Because it is a group show.
Right. Yeah. Well, they just do a great job of really recognizing that characterization takes place not just one-on-one between characters, but is a group across them. So each one of the gang is really
has our own little
fully
spotlight.
Developed. Yeah.
Which I can lean into the first thing with that talking about taking away Sokka's sexism.
Yeah. Because at the beginning it's one of the, and it's right there, first scene, first episode. Sokka's being a jerk, making fun of his sister, and it's not okay. And his sister's calling him out on that. But we have to.
But that's also character build up for Katara too.
Right.
The sexism thing.
Sure, and overcoming the traditional additional roles that are foisted upon her as a member of the water tribes, right?
Yeah.
And we see sexism across in pretty much all of the nations, you know, in some ways, shapes, or forms.
In season 2 with the
Yeah.
Earth Kingdom, there's no war in Bossing Day. The hypnotism.
The hypnotism. Well, I mean, I would say that, you know, the way that the Earth Kingdom uses the Julies, you know.
Oh, yeah.
That's one, you know, good example there. In the Fire Nation, it's a little bit less, to be honest. In the Fire Nation, it's a bit more egalitarian in a weird way.
It was like Princess
You know,
Azula's in charge of most
of
of
a
the stuff,
lot, and you know, her girl squad is never
Maid entirely.
you know, is never like put down for being women. Is their mom, you know, her punishments have more to do with
self-discipline, like the mind stuff.
well, yeah, I was thinking more about how she was banished, having more to do with her participation in the assassination. Of, not to put spoilers in here, but I mean, Avatar is a show that's 20 years old now, right? So if you haven't watched the anime by now, it's not my fault.
Yeah, especially by the time this episode comes out,
right
later this year.
Right.
Either the anime or the live action show coming up. Yeah.
But anyway, like, her banishment has more to do with her participation in, you know, overthrowing the previous Fire Lord, and Ozai not trusting having her around
Because she
the
might
capital
do the same to
him. Yeah. And Ozai is a savvy political actor. I mean, he's the closest thing to a mustache twirling villain in the show.
I haven't heard much from the guy that cast as him. Like, is he famous for other things?
I don't know.
Live action, because I know Mark Hamill was the one who voiced that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, everybody in the show is cast really well and really, like, you know, ethnically appropriately. I would definitely have been happy with an exception for Mark Hamill, though. If he could have just showed up as Ozai live action, that would have been, well, chef's kiss hilarious.
Or if it's just his voice that's over the guy.
Yeah, and then like, low key, one of the, like, it won't be in the first season, but one of the episodes I'm really looking forward to in the long run is the Ember Island Players live action episode.
When the gang goes to see them.
Yes,
and it's sold by the people.
Yes, and I'm just really hoping that they, you know, I'm torn. I don't know if they should get The Rock to play the boulder, or if they should get The Rock to play Toph in the Ember Island episode.
Just to be the play.
Right, but if they get The Rock for the boulder, then they should get John Cena for the Ember Island Toph.
Or they could be, or John Cena.
I feel like he has the right energy.
Or John Cena could be the boulder.
Yeah, I feel like, but the boulder is a parody of The Rock, so it would be funnier to have The Rock play himself.
I can see that.
You know?
I didn't put that together. I can see that.
Well, I mean, he's a parody of The Rock's wrestler persona. Not so much the actor anymore.
Well, I know. Yeah. I knew he was a wrestler before he became an actor. Right. It's sort of like John Cena.
Exactly, which is why I think it would be funny to have the two of them in those particular roles. But, you know, we'll see what they do with that.
The one episode I'm looking forward to in the future is the Iroh episode, the tree.
Which one?
Where the sun, he mourns the sun.
Oh, where he mourns the sun. Yeah, that'll be sad though. That'll be really sad. That's always sad.
You were saying we both like the actor they chose for.
Yes.
The guy who's from Kim's Convenience. If you don't.
Yeah, Kim's Convenience, and he's appeared in a couple different Star Wars.
He's played in Mandalorian.
At this point.
He plays the fighter pilot in the Mandalorian.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I've really enjoyed him and everything he's popped up in so far, and I think that he will bring the right energy to the character of Iroh. Yeah.
And I definitely like, from watching the trailer, I definitely like that. Unlike the movie, which John talked about the bending, they can actually bend, and it doesn't take 20 earthbenders.
Move the stone slowly across the screen.
Like when you made that whole speech, the ground is right underneath your feet, and it takes 20 of them to lift one rock.
Yeah, no, special effects have improved, just dramatically since
especially for Netflix shows. Netflix pumps like everything into the live action show.
Sure, and their live action anime adaptations have been really good so far, and they've done a great job of handling action just doesn't really translate the
Especially
same
One
way.
Piece recently, people are comparing that to they did really well with One Piece recently.
Yeah, and I'm not particularly a fan of One Piece. I haven't really watched the live action adaptation of that, but I did enjoy the live action adaptation of Cowboy Bebop.
Oh yeah,
which
I heard
was,
I heard they did
you
it
know,
like 2-something years ago, right?
Yeah, that sounds about right. I don't remember when it came out. I just remember enjoying it. They did a good job. They got the composer that did the soundtrack, the original soundtrack, to come back.
That's probably what helped it a lot.
Oh, a ton. I mean, well, it had a lot of action sequence and anime type action sequences, which can be difficult to translate.
Yeah.
But just that, I mean, as a musician, I just love
Yeah.
that.
We're all musicians
soundtrack
in
was
this kind of
fantastic.
family,
But yeah, I'm excited to see what they do with the show. I look forward to seeing some new pieces of content. I think that if they come at this looking at it from a more adult perspective,
I think that's exactly what the post they've been saying is that's what they wanted.
which I think is fine, because if you look at the anime as children trying to understand and process these heavy and deep themes like genocide we touched on earlier,
Yeah.
sexism a little bit,
Military propaganda.
how to deal with the family that gets torn apart, the costs of nationalism, not just on the people of the Earth Kingdom and the Water tribes that are dealing with Fire Nation aggression, but also the people in the Fire Nation.
Also,
And-
that don't
yeah.
want Ozai as the like we were just talking about with the mom.
Right.
But yeah.
And the depiction of just the everyday people just trying to live their lives and still, dealing with.
The outcome that don't want to be a part of the war, like everybody that joins their little group. Yeah.
Sure, I mean, even just like that little fishing village, in the Painted
Oh yeah,
Lady
the
episode,
guitar with
right?
the painted lady. Yeah.
Those are everyday people in the Fire Nation, and they are pretty far removed from things like imperialism and the conquest in the Earth Kingdom, but their everyday lives are being destroyed by those military actions too, by the factory down the river,
or like you said, the Earth Kingdom with putting them in the middle prisons or whatever, and on the ships or on the ships or whatever in the ocean.
Oh yeah, shipping people off internment camps,
like a prominent line where Zuko was shipped to one in
right.
the later seasons.
And then to tie all this into commentary on how do you choose non-violence in a world that constantly presents you with violence
being
as
the one
this,
wanting to
exactly
burn the entire world and like a phoenix, like you said.
right.
Yeah.
So what do you do when somebody comes to you with
Just wants to destroy everything.
and just there appeared to be for a long period of time no way to get around Aang's pacifism and Ozai's thirst for conquest and willingness to use violence to achieve those ends just seemed like it was completely unresolvable. Call it a MacGuffin, call it a Deus Ex Machina, whatever you want to call the introduction of the energy bending at the end.
With the turtle.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you think about it more of as an analogy, right? Energy bending is the choice that we all get presented with to whether or not to engage completely with that destructive element, right?
Yeah.
And how do we
Fight passively or fight aggressively.
Right.
Yeah.
What do you choose to do? Do you meet force with force, or do you
Just
meet
go
force
right up
with
to them and take the
redirection?
bait, yeah.
So it's really deep for a kids show.
And that's why I think it resonated with adults and kids when it first came on.
Yeah, and why it still resonates. I mean, it's been on Netflix for how long, and it's still one of the
every
most
now and then
popular.
it's taken off Netflix, and then people demand it go back, and then it comes back.
Right back. Yeah, it's a classic. It was instantly a classic. One thing I'm afraid of is that to bring it back to some of the character arcs we talked about, that they're gonna water down Zuko at the
Yeah.
beginning of the show and make him.
It's like we were talking about them making them already on the fast pack.
Yeah, on the fast track to where they end up at the end of 3 seasons, when they need to give the character time to breathe. You know, we meet Zuko and you can't stand him, and
especially because
a
a lot of his becoming good was again Iroh's teachings.
Well, sure, and you know the way he treats his crew at the beginning, the way he treats his uncle at the beginning, the way he treats himself.
Because it opens up with him in the anime,
you know,
with him just practicing his firebending and being hot-headed.
Right, and that's who he was, and that gives him a place to grow from, you know, into the, you know, person we see at the end of the show, which is a totally different character. And one thing I liked about Avatar a lot and is they had the courage at the end of the second season to, you know, they present Zuko as coming to the cusp of that personal realization and becoming a good guy, and then choosing
when he cuts off this royal.
Well, no, at Ba Sing Se, when
he's in the tunnels
presented with the choice to side with the Avatar
over his sister,
or side with Azula, and he faces it as Iroh calls it, the crossroads of his destiny. You know, and that's really what the episode is about. It's about Zuko and him. You know, being presented with that choice for the first time and making the wrong choice, you know, and hitting Aang, you know, allowing Azula to hit Aang when he's doing the whole charge up thing, you know, which everybody makes fun of the old, you know, Dragon Ball Z's, you know, charge up for, why don't you just punch him in the face? And then Azula does that. And they let that hang for like a year.
Before the new season.
We didn't know it. Aang could have been dead.
As far as Katara did it, Katara was still learning the healing.
We didn't know
the healing.
Right, and you know, obviously survived and made it through that. But as a watcher, you know, there's not a lot of shows
one of the biggest cliffhangers,
right, that are willing to let you feel like it. What if they really had opened up season 3 with a baby opening its eyes? You know, a fresh Avatar. And now,
or at Aang's funeral, a shot of
Aang's funeral, and now Katara and Toph and Sokka have to work together to go find the baby Avatar and train
or do it all by themselves.
Right, and like realize like that would have been, you know, an incredible twist, you know, but they could have done that, and it would have fit right with where they had gone with up until that point. The consequences would have been massive for the world, you know.
And who would have stopped Ozai then if he were to be killed?
Well, I mean, at that point, you have to hope Iroh tries something.
Shuts off his own brother, you're right, yeah.
I mean, that's the only option. Is literally, who else in their world could even hope to stand up to a comet-empowered Ozai?
The fire-breathing dragon guy,
the only person I can think of is Iroh, you know. On a normal day, maybe Boomy would stand a chance, but, you know, that's not a normal day. So, yeah, it's a great show. I look forward to seeing what they do, but what I'm really looking forward to is seeing what the Avatar Studios comes out with.
Talking about next year,
Yeah. The Avatar.
They're making their own anime with the original creators.
Yes, with the original crew and original creators. I think that'll probably, you know, hopefully that'll go into like, you know, what happened to Zuko's mom. And,
that's what I was hoping for too, to see in the movie, Zuko's search for his mother after he asked the dad in the prison.
Right, and then like the founding of Republic City.
Yeah, because they did say it was going to tie into Korra. You're right.
Right, tie into Korra and everything, and you know, Korra gets a lot of hate, but I personally enjoyed it a lot.
I enjoyed bits and pieces of it, not like the whole thing, like bits and pieces of what she did compared to what Aang did.
The second season was really weak, I'd say, and kind of went in a strange direction. But seasons 1, 3, and 4 were pretty good, and I'd say 1 and 3 were incredible.
Yeah.
You know, they just suffered, and a lot of other criticism has said this before, they just suffered from a lack of commitment on the part of Nickelodeon. You know,
the promotion.
On the production side, you know, if Nickelodeon had approved them for 3 to 4 seasons of the show.
Oh, that's right. That's right. They were told like, right. They would have been canceled after this to write a singular story for each season.
Yeah, well, for the first 2, and then they got 3 and 4 were bought at the same time. So they got to write a bit better of an arc, but by that time they had kind of already been shoehorned into siloed
one season story. Yeah.
One season stories because they would have already done 2 at that point. So, the Zahir arc and the Kuvira arcs are loosely connected, but, the Kuvira arc could stand on its own, without anything. You take Zahir out and just open the first season with the Earth King, the Earth Queen is assassinated off screen, and the whole season stands just fine on its own.
Every time when the guy suffocates or whatever, yeah.
Well, Zahir kills her in the 3rd season, but
Yeah.
if you just drop all of that and had the Earth Queen die off screen because rebels killed her in the first episode of the new season, then everything that follows after that with Kuvira, thematically, plot-wise, stands entirely on its own and doesn't need anything that happened in the Zahir arc for it to make sense.
Yeah.
You could not watch the Zahir arc, and the 4th season would still be entertaining. That's all. It's not an overarching theme like the Fire Lord, the ticking clock of the comet, and Aang has to learn all the elements. That's that's a concise, where this is going. Yeah.
And how it's going to end.
And now it's going to end, right. Which is part of what makes it such a good story, is because it knows when to stop,
Yeah.
And just Korra didn't have that option. They were never given the choice.
Yep.
But that said, evil Walt Disney was great. or was it Thomas Edison? Some kind of weird combination.
Or the Gerald Ford guy too.
Yeah. Just
Henry Ford. I mean,
yeah, the Henry Ford knockoff, and the radio guy, or the mover.
Oh yeah, the one that became friends with the Earthbender guy. Yeah,
that guy was wacky. But I think it'll be really fascinating to see what happens next, because industrialization hit fast with Korra.
Basically all the bendings. Yeah.
Well, if you think about it, it makes sense, right?
Plus, they had the metal bedding, all that too to learn. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, just if you think about one of the major limiting factors in the speed of the Industrial Revolution was the ability to get at coal and other fossil fuels and make fire and make heat and make
really easy
steam.
for earthbenders and firebenders.
Right. Earthbenders, waterbenders. Why do you even need that? You need steam. You need water to go from water to steam over and over again. Just get a couple waterbenders standing there and spinning stuff in circle. You got steam power. It's just energy is cheap for their society, which is
we saw when the firebenders using the lightning to do the power for the city. Yeah.
Right, and high level bending in at least 3 out of the 4 disciplines is readily available. Airbending is still getting its legs underneath it. It's 1 generation out from almost being wiped off the face of the planet. So naturally they've lost a lot of knowledge. We only really see somebody like Zahir doing some high level stuff, and he's
especially since Aang would have been dead too in the Korra, I think, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And the Airbenders also just kind of self-limited a lot based on their pacifistic views.
Yeah.
Right. They weren't going to be willing to pull the air out of somebody's lungs like Zahir, unless they were really put their back against.
I don't know. Tenzin probably could have.
Well, could have. Tenzin probably could definitely have done, a good chunk of what Zahir did. I think Tenzin was too attached to the world.
The teachings of Aang.
Well, his family.
Yeah.
And the Air Nation itself.
Yeah.
To fly. I don't think he could ever become untethered in the way that Zahir did, But a lot of the other stuff, pulling air out of lungs or something like that, I feel like Tenzin could pull that off. But we see what's his master's name?
Tenzin's master?
No, Aang's, his friend Yatsu.
Yeah. He's in the trailer too. We get a clip of him. Yeah.
Right. Put your back up against the wall, and Monkey Yatsu will suck all the air out of the room. Which is just a crazy move. Which also kind of begs the question, if he can push all that air away, why can't he give himself just like a little straw of air? We see Aang do that underwater. Anyway.
Yeah. Do a little
just like a little
yeah.
tube, you
Yeah.
know, so he doesn't have to die. But whatever. Thematically, it looked really cool. And we'll see what they show us on camera, you know.
All right, well, we're past that time actually.
Oh, well, look at that.
So,
So you get me talking, I won't shut up.
Is there any final words, anything you want to say before we end it here?
Nah. I mean, thanks for having me on.
Yeah.
It's been a lot of fun, and I look forward to seeing this on the YouTube.
I just want to shout out an amazing channel, James the Sheriff Dixon. Oh, he's such a great guy, and he is super cool for coming to the show. I'm glad I got to meet him in person, and you should subscribe.